Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Meet the Member for Monday. And I'm very pleased to welcome Kat Lynn, who is going to speak to us this morning about her business, Foodie Shots. But I'm particularly keen to hear from Kat and for you to share her story and get to know Kat as she's come on board as one of our W&A ambassadors, which I'm super pleased about, because among many of her talents, I think one of her real attributes is her dedication to regional communities, particularly the region that she lives and works in, and we'll hear more about that shortly. But I think the reality for women in business and women everywhere, no matter where they are, no matter where they live, we all have that opportunity to connect, share experiences. But sometimes for organisations like us, naturally we tend to focus on capital cities because that's where the population is, that's where we tend to have more live events. And unfortunately, it means that women in regional and rural areas tend to miss out. Please. So we want to make sure that at W&A we start to focus on and give due recognition to women in regional areas, because they really are the backbones of those communities. They're inevitably, like Kat, on every committee that exists, involved in so many different roles. And as we'll hear from Kat, you know, the work that she's doing to support other women, but also other businesses in her part of the world is really significant. So welcome, Kat.
Thanks, Cheryl, and thank you so much for the chance to have a chat and connect with a few other amazing women in business in our region. Yeah, I was very honoured when you asked for me to become an ambassador for basically the Women's National Network Australia in regional, because I live in Toowoomba. It is a bustling hub. And if anyone knows, whenever there's an award or there's some sort of incubator hub or there's any network event, usually you'll find a Toowoombarite out there, because we're so passionate and quite an entrepreneurial community. Recently, we did have an incubator hub here called Canvas Co-working, and unfortunately, due to real estate, and as we all know, real estate's quite hard at the moment, that had to close down. So we've actually lost a vital ecosystem at the moment, and we're still trying to work out how that can sort of live in a different space. But that's where Foodie Shots began. Foodie Shots began in an incubator hub surrounded by like-minded people who wanted to make a difference in their community, and it was an amazing experience to be able to have those mentors around you, because no matter what stage in business, you always need that next level mentor. When you're starting out, when you're growing, when you're succeeding, even when you're succeeding, I think you'd agree, Cheryl, you still need to look to others to sort of just go, okay, what's next? What's next? How can I go that little bit further? What's, you know, and also challenge yourself. So that's my drive, is to constantly help people get to that next step. And through photography, through my Foodie Shots, that's sort of what I do, right? I've had one beautiful client that's a marketeer. She has a soap artisan. So her name is Von Cat Soaps, right? So she makes beautiful natural soaps. She only saw herself as a marketeer only a couple of years ago. Now she is export quality. She's actually been bought by Sea Shepherd. She's also the BFAT have asked for her product. That is the power of what giving a business through photography and through just giving her a bit of confidence, going, you've got an amazing product, get it out there, you're so much more. And now, yeah, so that's one of my most beautiful stories, because her confidence is just going from strength to strength. And, you know, there's many other stories like that. Yeah. So my background, very quickly, my background, I'm a graphic designer. I've done corporate work as well in customer experience design. So when I bring on a client, it's not just about how do I create photos for them. It's about how can I help them understand where their gaps and their opportunities are in their customer journey maps and things like that. And sometimes I'm speaking language that not everyone knows. So a customer journey map is how does a customer travel through their experience from even before they meet with you, to the time that they have a chat, to the time you deliver a service, to the actual delivery, to the loyalty part afterwards? How do you make them feel throughout that whole time? And what makes up that customer journey through your systems, processes, people, all that sort of stuff. So it's fascinating. There's a lot of psychology in it, and I love it. Yeah, so I bring a wealth to all my clients, and it's such a joy to elevate them. But yeah.
Tell us, Kat, about Foodie Shots itself, the work that you do, and how you had to pivot during COVID.
Oh, I must admit, Cheryl, I've been told so many times to stop having butterfly moments, to swim in my lane, to niche down. And I can tell you right now, if I had listened to those people, I probably wouldn't be here today, right? Because of my thirst to go, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And let's try this. Let's test this. Let's do that, right? So it's that test, fail, what is it? Fail
fast,
fail safe, right? So test it, get it out there, then fail or succeed. Either one, make a decision, make it happen and go. Next. But every time you do that, you learn something. It's either a new piece of technology, it's a new way of working, it's a new, whatever. So I originally was doing basically just, my main client was cafes and restaurants. During COVID, they basically went to takeaway and they went to delivery, and some unfortunately did not survive. What I did find was a lot of them had to get out online. They had to get a digital presence. So luckily, when I left my corporate world, I built my studio, and people were saying, oh, with COVID coming, maybe you should save your money. Maybe you should save your money and, just in case. And I went, no, I'm going to do this because I know in my gut it's the right thing to have a studio. There's not many studios here in Toowoomba. Not many photographers have that ability. And also the other thing that was really meant a lot to me was I was still employing 5 trades during that initial crazy time, right? That meant that 5 trades, 5 businesses, 5 families still knew that they had some income coming in. That meant so much. Like if I said, no, don't worry about that, it was tens of thousands of dollars to get my studio built. It was a big investment, but it's paid off because now I have so many businesses coming to me to get their e-com, right? And there's repeat clients that come and they go, right, Kat, here, I'm just going to send you my product. You know what to do, get it up. So it's this beautiful just circle now. They send it, I take it, I send it back. And then it's just there's this lovely continuous loop. So as they grow, I can help them get out there even more. I still definitely go out to restaurants and I still take their photos. Like I'm coming up to do Hog's Breath very shortly. Going out to Boona to capture one of the the Bowl restaurants out there, which is pretty cool. Apparently that's a hot topic on the Lonely Planet. So yeah, I have a wonderful job where I have so much variety. Every day is a little bit different, but definitely COVID enabled me to use my ability to test, learn, try this. I did online cooking classes, right? I'm a foodie at heart, and by food, it connects us. So and I say it all the time, food's emotional. We used to travel a lot. We're going to start getting back into it. But when we're overseas, sharing a meal with someone, you don't even know how to speak the language. But when you share that meal, you're forever connected, right? It's a beautiful way. Food is such a connector. And when we sit around a long table, so that's why all my cooking classes that I used to do was we all had to sit at a long table at the end. We've made it. We've understood where our food has come from, because I used to do a spotlight on our local producers, whether it's the tomatoes or the eggs or whatever we used. We would then highlight those businesses again. And then we'd all sit and we'd enjoy that beautiful meal. And forever, some of those people have never met before. So that's the joy. And obviously I'll document that through photography, because it's not, it's about the story too. ultimately it's the story of those businesses. It's the story of our experiences. So I like to document through photography their story as well. So when I take a photo of a food product or a non-product, I still want to know why are they in business? What makes them tick? How did they get here? And that's what I think really connects us with businesses, when we truly understand where they come from and why. We want to support them. Like, ultimately, we want to help people. We want to see them shine. And if we know their story, it makes it so much easier to do that. So, yeah.
And that's what makes you a perfect ambassador for WNA, because that's exactly what we want to do, not just in regional areas, but in regional areas and everywhere else. So great to have you on board. You won a Greater Women in Business Award late last year for a bit of a spin-off business, which was to do with stock photography. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I think you've had some recent developments with that business.
Yeah. And interestingly, this this I've, it's a learning curve. Because I've got hundreds and thousands of different photos out there that they don't get used, right? They're not there. They're sitting there doing nothing. So I decided to do a food stock library. Because what we were finding as a graphic designer, in my background, I understand that people need high quality photos that have a storytelling feel about it, not a, dare I say, an Uber Eats or a very general photo, right? We want emotion in our photos when we're trying to create content. So all the bloggers and social media and web designers out there understand that they don't want just a standard, tomato. They want to know the juiciness of that tomato, how red it is, and making it look organic and all that. So I created Food Stock, and it was it was a membership portal, because I wanted to make sure that I built a community. How can I help those members come on board, and how can I help them support them, right? So one of my clients was down in Melbourne. She's a cacao lady, beautiful product. So I'd often cook with her product, tell people about it. So it's about how do we the little ripple effects, right? It's not big things. It's just all those 1%ers that we can do every single day that will make a difference. So Food Stock, I kept going and going and going. And what I learned is that I'm a photographer at heart. I'm a foodie at heart. I'm not a tech person. And I had to very quickly make a decision to continue and spend thousands and thousands of dollars in getting the tech right, or collaborate with another Australian company called Ozstock, who has the platform. It is up and running. However, they need more food photos, and they've asked me to come on board and be one of their exclusive photographers. So it was a match made in heaven. I've got all the photos. That's what I want to continue to do. They've got the platform. They're an Australian company, so that suits, it comes back to my values. It wasn't an iStock or a stock photo or anything like that. It's Ozstock, which is great because it's really hard to find Australian feeling photos. There's a lot of American, there's a lot of European, but we need the Australian photos for our content. So yeah, that was a big learning curve for me. And what I realized, even though I tell other businesses to fail fast, fail safe, it took me 13 months, right? Oh, maybe if I do it this way, and maybe if I do it that way, maybe if I do it this way. So what I'm trying to say is, when it's your baby, when you're in your own business, sometimes you need another sounding board to go, what if you did it this way? When is your next milestone? Have you checked in where you are right now? Because sometimes we have our blinkers on when it's our baby, and we forget to stop and actually say, no, it's not working, or yes, if we change this. So anyone who is bringing on a new product and they're not sure where they are at the moment, maybe just take a step back, or actually get someone else to have that bit of sounding board, just so that you can get a bit of a reflection there. I got my reflection through a lady called Helen Black. She's part of the Government Entrepreneurs Program. I'm working with her at the moment. And she asked some hard questions, but they're all the questions that I would have asked another business. I haven't been asking myself. So I found that really quite ironic and humbling to go, I know this stuff. Why am I not doing it for myself? So it was quite fascinating. I'm so excited about where that's now going.
That's awesome, Kat. There's so many lessons in that, and I think you're right. Sometimes we have an idea, and because we've given birth to that idea, we get very attached to it. But the reality is, we still have to look at it through that business lens, and it can still have a place, but it may not be what we thought it was going to be originally. We've got to be game enough and bold enough to say, okay, it's not working the way I imagined, or perhaps the time's not right for it. One of my mentors had an idea about measurement and evaluation in the communication and PR industry, and that's something that we talk a good game in comms and PR about the importance of evaluation, but very, very few people actually do it. And she created a dashboard called the communication dividend that allows companies to actually properly measure and evaluate their communication impact based on what they said they were going to achieve with it. But despite the great idea, despite a lot of effort that went into it, despite a lot of money that went into the research and development, just didn't seem to take off. It's now 6, almost 7 years later, and that idea is actually taking off. It required a partner to come in with some slightly different ideas and a fresh approach, and now it's really getting the traction that the original idea deserved. But, in that time, she thought about giving it up and just kind of putting it on the side, just kind of kept the idea alive, but not, the heart wasn't beating really. So, similar to you, having someone say, look, yeah, it's a good idea, but maybe it needs something else, a fresh approach, a new set of eyes, and it can still be something amazing. I wanted to ask you, I think sometimes we tend to focus a bit too much on what we might see as the challenges of being a business in a regional area. But I'd really like to flip that and ask you about what are the great things about being a business in a place like Toowoomba and the community that surrounds you?
I think there are so many opportunities, right? Like you look at even Toowoomba, we are a bit of a central hub for the regional, right? You got your Roma, Dalby, Goondiwindi, all that, Chinchilla, because we do have quite a lot of the schools and the boarding schools and things. So there is an opportunity here to naturally connect with certain demographics and clients that do come in. What I find is being regional means you are smaller in some way, but it means you don't get potentially lost either. If I was to think about being in Brisbane, I would think that there's so much to try and connect with. There's lots of noise. I find it easier to actually connect with the people that I'm hopefully we haven't lost Cheryl because I've just got a black screen there. But can we still hear me, Beck?
Yeah, got you.
Cool. So, being in a regional, it means that when you do get opportunities to have the chief entrepreneur come here, or, the minister for small business come here, you latch onto those opportunities because you know that they've come here to talk with us, and it's going to be a smaller crowd, realistically. Potentially in Brisbane, you've got, 100 to 200 people maybe in the audience, whereas here it's about 50 to maybe 100. So it enables you to have a lot more concentrated approach to your business. And I would argue because there's less noise, you get a result back a lot quicker as well. Does that make sense? Like when you test something, you're either going to get a yes or a no pretty quickly, or get a pretty good vibe if it's going to work. Whereas if I maybe was in one of the capital cities, I would have questions of, maybe I'm just not in the right suburb. Maybe I'm just not in the right area. Maybe I'm just, I would think being regional, you have a smaller pool to play in, but it's more concentrated. I think also there are a lot of opportunities for grants that are out there for regional. You know, we are supported in many ways. There's always room for more support, I can tell you now. So, I mean, Food Stock was formed because of one of those business builder, what was it, the digital $5,000 grants way back? It was about, I think we're up to stage, 4, something like that. Yeah. So, you know, so that gave us the ability to do something that we potentially wouldn't have been able to do, but that's because we were in a regional area, right? So there is, I just think when you reach out, you have to be a person, though. You can't just wait for it to come to you. I'm sorry, you can't just sit here and go, help me, worry me, whatever, you know, all that sort of thing. You have to be proactive and go, right, who can I talk to? I need help. And that's another thing. Ask for it. How can I, right? Instead of coming against a problem of going, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. Really, and I don't think there's many women in our space like on the call today. Is there, realistically? I would think a lot of us...
I don't think there's too many shrinking violets on the call.
Exactly, right? I think most of us here would be going, damn it, I want to do this. How can I? Who can help me? How may I get out there? And all that sort of thing. So I think that is one of the strengths of regional women as well, where we actually do, a lot of us do go and say, how might I do this? I want to do this. And because of, especially out even further out west, they're even stronger, right? If they want something, it's like a bull out of the gate. Get out of their way, you know. But I think we do need to ensure that they have the avenues or the conduit to have those connections. So hopefully by just bringing in April, when we have our lunch out here in Toowoomba, we're bringing the Breaking Barriers regional women.
Gratuitous plug.
Yeah, just saying. Cheryl and I had this weird idea. I said, how are we going to get it out here into the, you know, to Toowoomba instead of at the capital city? And we said, well, why don't we have a lunch? Woo! But silly me decided, let's not just make it a lunch for Toowoomba. Let's see if we can get Gundawindi and Roma and Dalby and Warwick and Stanthorpe and all those areas. Imagine if we could connect with those chambers or those councils and get people to come and stay in Toowoomba, right? Because I'm being selfish here. I want Toowoomba to be a thriving metropolis. I want it to be known as the Foodie Bowl, because I'm a foodie, right? And I know we've got good food here. So imagine if all those people came here and they stayed in our region, they ate in our region, and they learned more about Toowoomba and went home and told those stories. That's
exactly what's going to happen, isn't it, Kat?
That's a huge ripple effect, right?
It is.
So how many ripples? I just want to create ripples all day.
and you are doing that, and you have done that. And I would like for you to share how you've worked, because obviously you touch people perhaps through photography to start with. You know, it might be product photography, it might be shooting their food, but then pretty quickly through your customer journey experience, you see other opportunities, whether they're branding opportunities, marketing opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you bring them on that your own journey? Because, you know, sometimes we go to someone with a view that, oh, they do this for us, and only if we're prepared to open our minds and our hearts, we find that they have a lot of skills that they can share with us and help us in a lot of areas. How do you kind of gently coach them through that journey to be able to help them with the other services that you can provide?
I think it's about putting the power back into them. I could tell, it's like having children, right? You go tell them to do your room. They go, no, I'm not going to do it, right? They dig in. But if you go, imagine if we could do this, and imagine if you were able to do this, and you just plant the seeds. That's all you need. And it may take 3 months, 6 months, but geez, I have a high percentage of people come back and go, right, Kat, I'm ready now. Right, you talked about this, I'm ready. So I think it's about that soft approach and not being too over eager and being my personality. Sometimes I've got to just quash that down a bit, because I have a lot of butterfly moments. And there's one client, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but what if we did this, and we could do this, and then we could do this, and blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, I'm going to stop now, because, you know, it can become quite overwhelming, and it's not my baby, it's their baby, but I can see so much potential. And when they're sometimes at the beginning, when they're just overwhelmed of all the other noise, seeing where their future can actually be can be quite daunting. So sometimes it's just planting that seed and telling them that I'm here to help you along your journey, and when you're ready, we'll get to the next step. But what I do ensure is, I had one lady come to me and she goes, Kat, I need to get my product taken photos of. I said, okay. I said, so what's your logo? Oh, I don't have one yet. Okay. So what's your products? Oh, I'm not too sure yet. I went, okay. And she goes, but I've got these and I want photos of these. And I said, I am not going to take photos of your product and take your money when you need to go and speak to this lady over here. You know, I sent her off to my web designer and my graphic designer. I said, you need to go and talk to her first. Go and get your packaging right. Go get all your branding. Make sure your logo's on track, and get your whole branding suite right. And we all know logos are not just the brand, right? Your brand is your message, your lexicon, your colors, the voice, the way you present, the way you show up, how you want to be perceived when no one even knows who you are. So she went away, she did all that, and true to her word, she came back in about 7 months later, and we did a beautiful shoot. Now she's in Whole Life Pharmacy, she's in IGA, she would not have been able to get there if we had not have said, I'm not taking your money, go away, come back when you're ready, right? Because part of her customer journey is she needed to get this bit done, then this, then this, then this, and this, right? She was coming to me when she needed to be over here, right? And I can't do that. I can't take money from someone when I'm not going to get them to waste their money, because that's just, no.
That's really great, you know, to hear you say that, to be able to have the confidence to give that advice, knowing that, you know, you could have taken her money and you could have done what she'd asked and you would have done an amazing job, but to know, as you do, that it wasn't, she didn't have her priorities right, and be helpful enough to tell her that. And then, of course, yes, she did come back. It is what goes around comes around, and it's a good spirit of things. I might hand over to our guests. I'm sure people other than me have questions. So if you would like to ask Kat a question, please just jump in. I'm obviously limited with my tech down here. I'm down at Sydney Build, in case you didn't know what all these people walking behind me are. So I don't have quite all the tech controls. So please just jump in and ask Kat a question. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer.
All right, well, I'm a bit excited, and I'm definitely coming to Toowoomba. Hell or high water, me and the roll lady will be on their way. But I absolutely love how you express the customer journey.
Oh, yeah.
And what you actually do there with people, because, you know, I'm sitting here, I don't have any foodie things to sell or stuff like that, but you took me on a journey. Your journey, as well as a journey that when you're talking to other women, when you're listening to their business needs. And Sarah, I might just add, my mind is also triggered by the conversations we had at Empower on Friday, and where you're at with your business too. So, you know, I'm the Inspirational Connections. That's the business name. And what I love is being around women who inspire others, but who also inspire me. And I can tell you, my little Richter scale is ticking over with possibilities, but I'm not going to hog this time to steal away from others. But passion, women with passion.
Oh, yeah.
So infectious.
Yes.
And even if you're not even related to the kind of business that they're in, you will talk them up because you get excited about their excitement. And then it's like, I want to know what they're doing. And you're so right with how food connects us. We had a little project where we got some tiny little funding for my Sir Optimus Club to do some work with a college here at Deception Bay around Refugee Week. And last year's theme was share a story, share a meal. Well, I cook, but, you know, not real flesh, but this person cooked up a mozza of refugee recipes for the young people to share. And they also had a story with them. So you're absolutely right. And there's a wonderful botanical and beauty indigenous conference in Alice Springs later this year. I'll send you the links to it. But
Please do.
when you're kind of connecting all those things together, and then you look at how many women are in this business, and I love the way that, you know, welcome to the ambassadors, like, hello, big hugs for you until I can see you virtually. But this is exactly what Cheryl's trying to build is, you know, women who are empowering other women. And she has this amazing skill, some of it through her journalistic background, you know, to be able to dig deep, know when to ask the right questions. But she has a beautiful gift of being able to see the natural, you know, talent with some of our members and then just bring them together. And then the more that we get to know and appreciate what each other does, that's where those true connections really start. And you've nailed it today for me. So thank you.
Chris, thanks for that. Kat, we might also share that it's not just food that you have. You obviously have the Kat and Sunny photography business too. You might want to also mention that.
That was my question.
As if you don't have enough hats.
I wasn't going to confuse it, but just one other thing. I just wanted to, before I go off Foodie shots, the other thing I do is my food photography skills workshops. So I have 5 people once a month come into my studio and I teach them the basics of how to take a photo, right? And it's not the tech part, it's literally from the design part, the lighting, the color theory, you know, the emotion of color, the way you compose something so that you make people want to deal, you know, be part of your business. So I help businesses do that. And some people say to me, why do you teach people how to take the photos when you're taking business away from you? I went, no, I'm only teaching them with the tools that they have. Now, there are different types of businesses, right? You've got your startups. They don't have money to often have me come and take all their photos. And some businesses need regular photos. They can't have me in their back pocket. So how can I help them create the best photo that they can with the tools that they have, and then make sure that their brand is on par? Because the last thing you want is someone taking photos of their beautifully heart-made, you know, made with love food, and it's turning people off just because of the lighting that they're using, right? It just pains me when I see that the soul goes into food and they just can't show it in the way that it deserves, the way we can honor our food. So yeah, so I do the workshops, but probably 9 out of 10 of those clients usually come back and go, Kat, I've either grown or it's too hard or whatever, just take the photos for me. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, it's fine. So yeah, Sunny and Kat. So that was our first business, and it still is. It's one of our, it just keeps petering on because it's built up its brand and it continues on. It started off as wedding branding and events. I'm trying to get rid of the wedding part. Just don't tell my husband, Sunny, shh. But the branding, again, it's the stories of the businesses, right? I just love hearing why they went into business. I don't care if you're an accountant or a tax person, they still have a story. And it's funny to get out the real person behind it. Like, we all sit here and we pose. That's not who we really are. Like, where is the real you? And that's what I love to get out of people. And that's quite interesting. So with that, yeah, I do a lot of corporate branding, a lot of visual corporate stories. So I call myself a visual storyteller. Realistically, that's what I do. And I've just launched, if you follow the Sunny and Kat page, you will see that I've just launched my Empowering Women series. And it's only open to 5 women, and they all have to have these ripples. And it's amazing what the stories have to give me goosebumps, and I capture those stories visually. And it's just, you wait, we're going to, yeah, it's just huge. Like, these women, they're not just leaders, they are making fundamental changes in our society, but they're so quiet, you don't even know that they're there. And I want to shine that light on them. Like, seriously, these are beautiful women. But yeah, so Sunny and Kat is my corporate branding and events project, my business, yeah.
And we'll share, obviously we'll share Kat's business links in in the follow-up email that we send to you.
Yeah. What time
Sue,
is it,
did
Cheryl?
you have a question?
I don't take up too much time. I haven't got my watch on me.
I know. Beck, can you just give us a time check, please?
Yep, 9:40. Still got a bit of time.
Heaps of time.
Sue, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to ask whether Kat photographed things other than food, because, you know.
Definitely. Yeah.
I've seen the entrepreneurial spirit in remote, regional, you know, the women creating things because they have to, out of a need.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they need to be showcased, and I can see that happening. So also, since you've covered that, what sort of networking happens with women in Toowoomba itself, but also Toowoomba and, you know, Dalby, etc.?
There is so much networking here in Toowoomba. It is like I could seriously have 5 days a week networking. It is unbelievable. You know, the ones that I've gotten to a point where now it's not just about brand exposure. Like we've now built our brand, both in Sunny and Kat and Foodie Shots. Now it is about the networks that can help me learn or connect with the next level of businesses, right? It's that how can I associate, like, you know, the power of who's around you, you know? So it's not about, for me now, because I used to go to all the mothers ones and all that, because I had my children at home, and that's where I felt safe, and that's where I could get a little bit of advice here and there and everywhere. Now I'm at the chambers, so I go to, I'm a member of the Toowoomba Food and Agri Network. I'm an advisor for them, and I'm on the committee for the Highfields Chamber, which only became a chamber this year. So we were part of that committee that we managed to get the chamber. Also an advisor, I do Hampton Festival. I'm a presenter at the Growers on the Green, but that is about how do we, again, promote all these beautiful producers. And I don't mind being the MC role, because it's not about me. You're right. It's about them, and how I'm asking them questions so that they can get their story out there. So in terms of networking, yeah, you've got LinkedIn networking. I'm a member of the BX Reimagined Network, which is a fantastic network up here. Then you've got BNIs. There's 2 BNI chambers. Then you've got Wine Down. Then you've got Women on the Move. Women on the Move is a big one here, and they have a charity that promotes Protea Place. It's for women who have unfortunately been in domestic violence and things like that. So that's a really nice one to support. But yeah, there is a lot of networking opportunities here. And the chambers are very supportive of all those networks as well. I think it's also, like, I'm very much about, if you come to me and you tell me where you are in business, my head's already going, oh, so I can connect you with this person, I can connect you with that person, this person. So my network is my net worth, right? And when my clients connect with me, it's not just as a photographer. They know very, very quickly that they are going to actually get the next part. So where's the gap in their business right now? Whether it's mentoring, whether it's finance, whether it's knowledge, whether it's tech, or a specific, well, then I know who to send them off to, which is invaluable, right? Because if I'm sending them off to someone that I truly trust, well, then it's my reputation on the line as well. But I then know that I'm helping that business, you know, the person I'm referring to, I'm helping them also get new business. So it's about this, how do we create that ecosystem of collaboration where we're all winning? Because that's what I say all the time. I'm working with Good Food and Wine, and I'm working with the Naturally Good Expo. And I said, how can we make this a win-win situation, right? How do you get the same amount, the perceived value, and so how do I? Because if it's only one, if I'm just getting paid to do something, but they're not really getting the value, that's not how I work. It has to be basically, you know, on par in terms of win-win. So that's very important to me as well. So yeah,
absolutely.
hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. I can see why you've been invited to be the WNA ambassador. Yeah. Perfect for the job. Well done, Cheryl.
Thank you. An inspired choice. But what it prompts me to think about is, how can we help Kat? I think even in our own networks, we probably know businesses, whether they are, foodie businesses, cafes, restaurants, makers of Indigenous food. I know Chris has got a few connections in that space. How can we help Kat by connecting her to some of those businesses? And more importantly, how can we help those businesses by connecting to Kat? Because you can hear her passion goes beyond just taking, photos and telling their visual story, but helping them to succeed. So, the world is such that, as she said, while she's in Toowoomba, it's very easy to just send the product up there. She can make it look magical and send the photos back. So it's not a case of, oh, well, she's in Toowoomba, so who do I know in Toowoomba? It's not that world at all. So
well, and I'd add on to that, Cheryl, if that's okay. I make a point here. This year has been about, because my dream is to travel the world and take photos, and I was planning to do that pre-COVID. We had a group of 12 booked, ready. We were going over to Penang, and I had a whole cooking class and cooking and photography and art and everything. And then obviously no. So my aim is to, yes, be a traveling photographer. So I used to respond to posts in, like-minded bitches and Women's Network and go, yes, I'm a photographer in Toowoomba. Now I'm saying I'm a traveling photographer. And it's an amazing way if it's just a mind switch, right? Now I'm going off. Now I've been invited to go to Boona. I'm now going down to Sydney. Now I'm going, I've been up to Airlie Beach. So once you start to just put it out there and go, how might I make this life that I want as a traveling photographer, traveling food photographer? How do I make this happen? Well, it's all in the language that I use as well. So I would argue if someone's up in, where did you say, Alice Springs? I'll go. I'll go up there. I have all the equipment now that I can travel light. So we've enabled it. Now it just is going to happen. So, yes.
I've got a fantastic Seroptimus Club in Penang that would wrap you around their arms, and they love food. So, I think the world is our oyster.
Yeah.
And I think what I love about Cheryl and her approach with where WNA is growing and going in the future, we're only limited by our imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Through WeConnect and just the way that, we're not just here or just there. And I think that's such a good point that you've made, around, I'm a photographer in Toowoomba, as opposed to, well, no, I'm actually a traveling foodie photographer, have wheels, passport, can travel. And, you're one of the absolute amazing success stories of coming out of COVID, where you were forced to do certain things because of the limitation around isolation and, access. And it is how you've embraced digital technology to reach out to more people. And the fact that, Cheryl can be in Sydney and Beck can be in the office, and Sue and I, up here in the Moreton Bay region, and you're in Toowoomba, and we can have these conversations. And, Sarah, who's sitting in the middle of it all with an amazing opportunity, to do the global world thing too, which will evolve in time. But, that's what's exciting. That's why I want to learn how to drive this Zoom technology, because it's like there's nothing like a person who knows their time has come. And I think, what's exciting for you is, my word for this year is success. And that is about what can I do to empower other people, to achieve the success that they identify themselves and go beyond. And I think that's it. You've painted a beautiful picture here, and it's not just about, oh, well, this is what I do. And, I've got connections in Toowoomba, and they'll be getting a real rally up to, come and be there in April.
21st of April.
Those connections. So
21st of April, make sure you book a room, stay, and then go on set. Seriously, just imagine this, girls. If you come up.
Just imagine.
Come up, right? You have lunch with all these amazing women, connect. And I always say at any event, I have to connect with 5 people I've never met before, right? That's just one of my KPIs. I have to do that, and I have to understand their story. Anyway, imagine you're 5 people, but then it's lunch, and then you can go on to a cocktail bar, and then you can we've got 3 cocktail bars here, and then you can actually then just stay and have dinner, and then wake up and go to the Toowoomba Farmers Markets, which is one of the largest now in our region. And then imagine if you went out to Crow's Nest and went via one of the peachy distilleries. It's a gin distillery, or the brewery, and then out to Murti, where it's a beautiful French patisserie with a whole lot of, anyway. Sorry, I'll just
Could
stop
you
there.
just send through an itinerary, Kat? That would be great.
Well, as it turns out, Sarah's just shared that it's her birthday on the 21st, so we'll have to have a regional celebration. I'm actually going to do a regional tour that, what a way to spend
Oh,
your
yeah.
birthday. I'm going to do a regional tour. I'm going to be in Chinchilla earlier in the week, so I'm going to start there and make my way down from Chinchilla back to be in Toowoomba by the end of the week, and then hang out over the weekend in Toowoomba and actually soak up what our beautiful regions have to offer and just see what's going on. So
Well,
I'm really
I'll
looking forward to that.
That'd be good.
Well, the 21st of April is like my freedom day. That was the day when I turned 18. I hit the road and never looked back. So that was back in 78. So, you know, a few journeys in that space. But, you know, I think what's exciting, Cheryl, you know, what is evolving here is many WNA members have capacity and would love to get away on a weekend retreat, you know, to sort of be able to explore the local area and just spend some quality time together. I mean, my mobility is a bit limited to, you know, running around with a rollator here, there and everywhere else, but I can park my butt somewhere in one of these little locations and wait for those 5 inspiring people to come along. Yeah, it's, you know,
We'll just have the gins, but
I'm up for it. I'm up for it. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, very exciting. Woohoo.
Well, listen, we might leave it there because Kat does have a photo shoot to get organised for. Suffice to say, it's been a delight to hear from you today, Kat, to hear your journey and the amazing things that you're doing and have done to this point, to welcome you officially as our newest WA ambassador and to thank you for all that you're doing for WNA and for businesses in the regions and more broadly. And we look forward to hearing more about Foodie Shots, about you and the various involvements and roles that you currently got under your wing, and really looking forward to coming up in April and spending some time with both yourself and others up there and just seeing the amazing things that are happening. So thank you all so much. It is International Women's Day week month, so I wish you all a very happy, merry and celebratory International Women's Day. It is a time to just reflect on all of the incredible gains that women have made over the years, but you'll see in our column this morning, we talk about the fact that there's still a lot of work to do, not only for women here in Australia, but throughout the world. And it is International Women's Day, so it's a time to think about what women around the world are facing and some of the situations and issues that they have to deal with. And one of those is the digital divide that is keeping women from achieving what they can achieve simply because they are not given equal access to things like technology and the right to learn and use technology. So that's something that we'll be focusing on and hopefully doing something about, and we'll have some more announcements about that later in the week. So have a wonderful time, have a wonderful week, and look forward to seeing you in April.
See you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kat.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Kat. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Kat.
See ya.